Hey everybody. So today what I'm going to do is work on showing you how I sharpen my knives. There's been a lot of different requests for different videos, but I think this one is going to be the most beneficial for everybody. I don't know why I didn't think about this before. I have been home, I have been working with my knives every day, and it does require a lot to maintain your knives. So that being said, I'll show you a couple quick things. I've been asked what's in my knife kit, who makes my knife kit, what kind of knives I use, who are the makers. So for first off, this is my knife bag. It is made by Chrome in Portland. It is something I designed with them. I'm very proud of it. You can go to Chrome, it's a website, and pick one up. It's this one in particular. I did a custom color here, red, but it's all black. So this is my standard knife kit. What's really cool about it is the handle's offset, so that when you carry it, the weight of the knife in your bag keeps it flat, so it doesn't tip when you walk. So I'm outside because I don't want to sharpen my knives inside because it makes quite a bit of mess. I need to soak my stones. They're wet stones. And I have a couple different tools that I'm going to show you and a couple different techniques. So for starters, this here is a really cool, it's basically a rust eraser. You can buy them through different knife shops around. This one in particular, I have, it's from Japan, and it's like a pumicey rubber-like stone. And you can use it to scrub the knife of any tarnish. It's rubber, but it has abrasiveness to it, okay? So I don't think I have any tarnish on any of my knives, but I did want to show you, if you do have reactive knives that are carbon steel, they will take color, especially when you work with acid like tomatoes and lemon and such. So this is a great tool to have in your kit or to have at home. Now, I have a whole slew of different knives made of different materials, and we're going to kind of go through them. And this, it looks like I have a little bit of some tarnish marks on my Deba, which I use to fillet my fish, so I'll use the eraser to take it off. And I have a couple blemish marks on my boning knife, so I'll get that off this one. So this particular material is M4 steel. It's a very, very hard steel. This is a white steel. It's going to be softer, easier to sharpen. This one here is, again, the M4 steel. This one is a really beautiful knife, and you can see part of it is non-reactive, part of it's reactive. It's layered. The way they layer the blade, you can see this edge is a little darker, and it's this is really interesting. The texture on the blade comes from when they pound the metal and then they form the knife, they actually lay leather on it, raw leather, and it gives that dimply effect. It's pretty cool, but we're gonna put some edge on this one. And this guy right here is a really, I've been using it a lot, and I've got some nicks in it. I don't know if you can see. I've got a nick right there, and I'll show you how I'm gonna take that out. So first off, I'm gonna have a drink. Okay, let's go through the process. The sun's behind me, feels good, but I need light here. So what we have here is a couple different stones, and I've laid them out in my sink here. So 1000 stone, and I'm matching the case for the stone in order of the water. So 1000 is the first stone in the water, 1200, 5000, 8000, okay? And then right there you see that 400 grit. That stone flips over, and that one's a diamond stone. So that one I'm gonna use to take the nicks out of one of my blades. So what I'm gonna do first, let's get set up. And it's also, that's a great one to use when you have very, very hard steel. So this is actually a really great tool here. This is a stone holder. This is 1000 grit on the diamond, which is a little finer. So because, see, I want this because it's going to keep my stone stable. And I have a little spritzer with some water. You don't like that behind me, I know you don't. There we go. So I'm going to spritz it little water. Okay. Now I'm going to work on this particular blade because it's got a substantial amount of dings in it, and I'm really kind of upset about it because this is a really beautiful knife. So I'm just going to remove those dings by keeping a particular, I'm looking for a specific angle. Let's see if that's a little better. Yeah. So my knife's at a slight angle. Okay. And then this is what's called a Western knife. It's two sides. So I'm going to have whatever method I do on this side, I count. So I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So again on this side, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So what I'm looking for is that divot to go away. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I just keep going back to that divot, and it's almost gone, which is great. So the diamond steel, this diamond stone is the roughest. It's going to take off the most metal. So if you have an issue, if you have a ding, a divot, a hole, a chip, this is what you want to fix your knife, okay? Don't think it's bad, but I wouldn't use this to sharpen all your knives because your knives will get really, really, really thin really quick, okay? So by doing that, I was able to remove that nick. Oh, got to do a couple more times. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and looks like I got that nick out. So I'm going to put this knife to the side, and I did want to work a little bit on this hard steel. This is M4, and to set my edge a little bit more, I wanted to be a little bit sharper because the steel's so firm, so rock hard, that I need to work on it with the diamond stone. So I'm resetting. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. Much better. So this didn't require that much. It had a solid edge, but I just had to work on it a little bit more to get it to the edge where I want to. Now I'm going to show you a couple more tricks. Those were the two that I really had some issues with. Let me do this. This again is an M4 steel, so I'm going to do the same thing. So what I'm doing is I'm placing pressure with my fingers. So I'm spreading out the weight. So much better. I just needed to get, and now the thing about this one is I have a sharp round tip. Not many people like to do that, but I am. That's better. Okay, so because, like I said, this steel is so hard, I just wanted to take it to where I need it to be. The tip here is a little dull for me. Okay. One more time. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm done with this stone. I'll wash it off. I'm going to put it aside. I only had 3 knives that I really had to work on with nicks and dings, and then just had some really hard work to it. So now what I'm going to do is start moving forward with the next stone. So the next stone is 1,000 whetstone. Whetstone means you have to soak them prior to use. You let them sit in the water, they'll bubble a little bit, and then you're able to start using them. So here we go. I'm going to use this as my 1,000 stone, and there's my 1,000 stone here. So I'm going to just go to the knife that I just worked on first to finish it. And again, same angle, and just cleaning it up. Okay, I'm making sure. When I'm running my fingers this way, what I'm looking for is curls of the blade either side. Okay, I can see that I got that nick out, which is great. Now it's going to require a bit of work. By getting the nick out, I removed a lot of metal. So I'm really going to have to re-hone it down to get the blade back that I want. There we go. There's a lot of little tricks that you're feeling for when you're working the knife on the stone. Okay. I'm going to switch over to this one. And again, this one I'm just taking off the edges, the burrs. And we will go through all the stones. That's part of the process. Yep. And again, here. You notice I'm sticking with the same stone. Because I don't want to. That's great. Now, new knife on the stone, because I wasn't using it before. Now I'm going to take it, dip it in my water to get some of the metal particulates off. That black is all from the metal. So now I'm going to go with a new knife. Same thing, same angle. Okay, back to the angles again. See, it's pretty tedious work. It takes a lot of time. I'm far from a master. There are brilliant, brilliant knife masters and knife sharpeners. There's knife makers. You know, there's such talented people. And this is an art form. Now I'm just working on the tip. That's so much better. Okay. Now, the Deba, it's a one-sided. So all the knives I've just sharpened are two-sided, which they call Western. This one here is a one-sided knife, so just hard, one side, one angle. But I have to do the back side, which is a little different, and I'll show you. To create a shogunku. Shogunku is when you sharpen it on the other side, there'll be a space. You'll see. I'm doing it flat right there. Okay, and that's making the blade what I'm looking for. That's giving me the alternate edge, because this is a one-sided blade, and I'm just looking for a nice consistent, oh, there we go, that's beautiful. Okay, done. Starting to get a pile of knives finished on one side. Okay, next up, paring knife. So I can already tell it needs a little water. Much better. Okay, so now oh, I got one more. Missed, almost missed. So this is how I'm gonna show you how to use the rust eraser. So I have a couple little marks on here. So let's see. I'm just gonna lay the blade down and I'm just gonna rub with the rust eraser, and I can see it taking the stuff off. I got some right there, and it just takes it right off. There we go. Okay, so just put this on a stone, take a little bit of the and sometimes, no matter how much you may get a drop of water on your knife or something, it will tarnish. So be gentle with them. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm done with first stone. So I'm gonna put the first stone back, put it to soak in the water so I can clean it. Now it's time for the 1200 stone. Now is when I don't have to use it as much. Okay, so just gonna be a couple strikes. Beautiful. It gets easier. You do less on the rest of the stones once you get to a certain point, but you'll know, and I'll show you a trick. You'll start to feel it. This one. What I'm looking for is burrs, curls. It's nice. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna work on it a little bit more this one. So, I could do all of these knives and I could have you here for an hour because it takes time. This one now, the stone needs to be wet again. So I can see it's too dirty. Here we go. So I could go through all the different knives, but I'm gonna pick one knife now at this point, and I'm just going to finish one all the way and show you how I put the fine hone edge on it. Okay, I'm just gonna finish this one here. Okay, great. So what I'm gonna do is pick one knife and I'm gonna finish it all the way, then I'll go back and do all the others. So let's just finish one of the ones that I've been working on. So this one here, I'm gonna use this big guy because we just worked on it a little bit. So work on it a pinch more. I just wanna get the, okay. So back, return my stone. Dirty stone in the water, we'll clean the water. New stone out. Now I'm actually gonna take and dip my knife in the water to get that clean. Okay. Again, back to the stone. This is the 5000 stone. Now you can order sets, stone sets online. It's a great way to do it. Bunch of different companies carry them. A bunch of different makers. So take a look. I mean, this particular set I ordered a while ago. I've had for many years. Okay. I'm just gonna work this edge a little bit longer and then get ready to switch to the other stone. Okay, next stone. Now I'm switching to the 8000, soaking that stone again. 8000 stone. Now there's a million different ways to take the stones next. So people take their knives. Oh, this is really good. Now I'm just gonna do a little fine work at this point on the tip. On my back edge. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. Now, a little sip. Sorry. Okay, let's come back up. It's kind of tough, you know, I gotta bend over and like lean in all the time, but then you get the light and it's kind of a game. So here we go. Now I'm gonna clean this knife off. Okay, I'm removing all that dark is like all the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a kind of a mix of the metal from the blade as well as the stone particulates starting to deteriorate onto the blade. So as you can see now, the edge is pretty shiny, but there's another technique which I've always done. I'm listening. Okay. I've always hand polished a knife. So what I like to do next is I take a steel. This is a double, has two different styles. It has a high polish and a fine. It's a medium and then a high fine. So I just double check for burrs. Once on one side. Removing any burrs. I'm doing it again. Now, the thing about a steel is a steel doesn't actually sharpen a knife. It just changes the angle up. See, I'm catching burrs. Okay, good. So now this is the final part for me that I like to do with all my knives, and not a lot of people like to do it, but I like to polish the blade on a piece of paper. So I'll take the paper, oh, she's sharp. You'll see, you'll see. Hang on, let's do this. Okay, so the paper is kind of the next step. So I go stones, all the 4 stones, then I do the steel, both sides. So and if you look closely at this steel, I don't know if you can see it, one side it has a fine grain to it, and this side's just solid, soft, like just solid metal. So it's kind of like a ceramic rod, one side. The other side has just got those fine ridges. But the paper polish is key. So at this point, I like to take the knife and I'm rubbing the edge and polishing. I'm trying to polish the blade to make sure that I'm getting anything off of it. Now, it's a little bit difficult because I'm outside, and the paper towel, I'm gonna move this paper towel. Let's see if it'll, okay, let's pull you closer so you can see what the heck I'm doing. Man, here comes the wind. No one said this was easy outdoors. Okay, hang on. So, there you go. So, on the edge here, I'm gonna take it and I'm using the, see that? That is me polishing it. I'm getting it clean. Polishing the blade. And not everybody likes to polish. And then you start polishing like this. It's paper has a grit to it as well. Just like everything else, it's gonna be able to have an effect on the blade. So let's see how much of an effect this had on this knife. So I've got a standard piece of paper here. Let's pull it back here. There you go. So I think it's pretty sharp now. I don't know about you, but I think I did okay. So the process is very straightforward. It's very simple. It's time consuming. It requires patience. You can read a ton about it. There's demos, there's videos online, there's YouTube. Oh, wait a minute, I just made a video. But I learned from practice, I learned from watching others, and my way may not work for you, but it works for me. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of a direction on where you want to go with sharpening your knives, and you enjoy it. So thank you very much. And this video was brought to you by Jack Rabbit in Portland. we are getting really excited to hopefully be opening at some point soon. And we look forward to serving our Portland community. And be safe everywhere. Please make sure you're wearing a mask. Stay 6 foot apart from everybody else. And remember, a sharper knife is a safer cut. And a safer cut equals less stitches. A dull knife is a bad cut, and you're always going to need more stitches. So be smart, take your time, practice. If you need to practice on a bad knife that's not your favorite, that's probably the best technique. Using a knife that you don't love, that's really beat up, that's the perfect chance for you to say, hey, I'm going to turn this knife around. And how are you going to do that? You're going to sit there and work on the stone until you get it right. Once you figured that out, then you can start doing all the others. So hopefully this helps you and your knife techniques at home. Remember, sharp knife, better food, safer knife. Okay? Thanks. Have a great day. And remember, be safe. Stay home. Wear a mask. I've got mine. Do you have yours?